All right, it has to be possible to imagine that the monk at the Chateau de Lorraine, when he was under indictment, when he was being put on trial, he was still pulling the Vatican into his own. He was still pulling them into his own con game. Like, that's kind of strange, right? Like, but then he was still able to live in this state. People didn't figure that out in time, you know. So concentric circles doesn't always have to be produced. Like some, maybe okay. Look, the guy that was digging for spider stones killed the shepherd, the Mexican, who was interpreting his spider stones, who created the spider stones himself. After he killed that guy, he learned how to fucking create spider stones because he had to save his own fucking neck. And he buried it and discovered it, rediscovered it himself. I'm not saying that's true. I do sound convinced. If I sound emotionally attached to that prediction and it turns out to not be true, I don't have to start acting like some kind of asshole or anything. But because I'm not, it doesn't. So yeah, the monk was still conning them because for whatever reason, the document that he produced that showed the lineage of Mary Magdalene, and everybody in that town and believed that Mary Magdalene had left. She escaped to that area. She's known to have resided in that area. He took apart this old church that he bought that was unable to be used, and when he got the ability to restaurate, he had couldn't pay. But he took apart a balustrade, which is a huge part of stairs, and he unscrewed it or whatever, and there was a message wrapped around inside that was a treasure. But the treasure that he was selling people was a king's ransom from the wife of the king who went on the crusade and was captured by an Egyptian proxy army or whatever. I don't know, but I shouldn't say proxy. I'm not authorized to say that was with that. But they made up a story that the ransom of that king was under a particular gravestone called whatever, and I forget. And that he actually intentionally dug up a lot of graves looking for it, and they believed that he had found the specific tomb. Then he kept leaving, and instead of leaving and selling off trinkets that they thought was in the jewels, he was actually selling ministries, which was banned. You're not supposed to advertise like yourself for selling sermons, because you're only allowed to do so many sermons, and you have to work in your particular area. You can't really be a freelance and go all everywhere. So that's what he was doing to get rich, but he was already paid off by the Vatican to shut up because he had convinced them that there was something to the document that was stating the lineage of the Merovingian bloodline and being still alive with the son of Jesus Christ. He like has got his son over. So that's why the Vatican paid him to shut up, and then he convinced everybody that he had found a treasure from a king's ransom who was in the Crusades. And then, so the widow, knowing that was a scam, told the shrewd businessman, and the shrewd businessman kept the secret. See, now, if he had kept the secret, he would have been cursed by the treasure. But it doesn't have necessarily mean that anything, because nobody did anything wrong. Whether or not greed chose somebody who was normal is affected by what you learn later on because there's only thing is that they wanted something. And then once you find out that they wanted something, you could say that they were, well, you need to find out what was making them not normal. When you find out what was making them not normal, then it makes them normal. It makes them like you can understand it. So they're not greed then. But the greed ruins all these relationships though. Like but then what reveals in the person will be like some kind of character, some kind of character. And then it could just be more and more, so that the tempest actually creates value. So that the treasure is actually the couple of coins that was found by the guy who tried to colonize Cocos, and all the misery and all the agreements that he made with different entities that stacked on and stacked on and stacked on more value onto those 4 fucking coins that was whispering to him, that caused him all the misery. So you have to look past whether or not something is good for me or bad for you, because it's just a polarity. It's mortality and it's also a gift. So it's mortality bad and a gift is good, but you still have a polarity. Like it's the transliteration of energy from the motion of a gesture into the contextual realm, right? And then that is why Muhammad knew that he could get power simply by being allowed into Mecca and Medina, and then his tribe didn't charge the battery of the concentric circles in the same direction. They changed it in a different direction, and it polarized Muhammad. And the Chateau de Lorraine created a new age tangential called the Da Vinci Code. It's still certainly, if you know how to talk that good talk, you can write a book. You know what I mean? So the person who wrote the Da Vinci Codes and shit got rich. So we have to think past further, whether it's a jewel, a person, or a manuscript, to consider whether or not the oil discovered after Saladin and Constantinople admittedly said that there was nothing of value there for people to be fighting for but an idea. We think it's an idea. We don't know it's a treasure map, because a treasure map is not supposed to result as a polarity being charged by a battery to give somebody something that they wanted, which was what not Muhammad wanted, but what the Masons wanted. Because Muhammad was a shepherd boy. And he was supposed to, and the way he's described in the Quran is that he is whiter than, he was a peroxide blonde. A peroxide blonde post-Mongolian Turkmen, which was known to be white. I don't know if that's supposed to upset people or what. But there's a treasure map in Islam because the concentric circles was transliterating energy. Energy can never not exist. It just goes into another dimension or something. The treasure was it oil? Because they didn't know about the oil. You can't say it was oil, or you can say it was oil. Does it matter that people didn't know or did know what the treasure was? Because the treasure is the ability to print money. But does the ability to print money come from oil, or does it come from a mystery? It's a mystery whether or not humans have the ability to know if the oil is there. So a lot of people believe that inside the Kaaba in Mecca and Medina is an artifact that came from space, a cosmos. I swear to God. Swear to God, it's made out of a metal that is supposed to only exist in space. And they reveal it, and people, there's a ritual, they come up to it, and it's almost similar to something like wanting to kiss a stone that cries or something like that. We say there's science hidden deep in there. Well, is science your friend? Because it allowed a lot of people to have a whole religion based on whether or not it could accumulate in sweat or something like that. And then, okay, so Well, if Mike Markham was allowed today and somebody told him that trust the science, he would have to say, science mauled me last time. I got amnesia. I was homeless. I was walking around. I didn't know that I actually was charged with responsibilities in a different city that I was trying to get back to. You know what I mean? And then what happened to him is, could it be more of a scam? Yeah, but I mean, should you not follow it? Because there's concentric circles in the plasma principles of a plasma tornado or something like that. In the Philadelphia experiment, and the people on the USS Philadelphia had no idea, but Mike Markham did have an idea. So the culmination of his science resulted in him believing that he had to himself develop a capsule to be able to throw himself into the plasma vortex that had a particular effect on metal, but maybe not biology. How do we find out that it didn't affect biology? It's just that the biology has some aspect of being reprogrammable. Not all of it. I'm saying part of it. Like he got amnesia. Okay, but it doesn't mean that he's infinitely reprogrammable. It just means that some of him was able to be erased, the memory. So in movies, they keep giving snippets and stuff, being John Malkovich or like Inuyasha or something, where you go through a portal. And it was tourism. And being John Malkovich, he was pissed off because he was being exploited. In Inuyasha, it was you go down a well and then back to the ancestors' realm, and she had a avatar down there or something like that, and then she would also be like a regular human being, like in school and something, and she would have to go on missions, or Inuyasha would pop out and be like, you got to go back and all this kind of stuff. But they're just building it off the mystery, so you can still print money. They're printing money. It's just like, just because they can't print all the goddamn money in the world doesn't mean that they're not printing money.